This is In Other Waters. It's part of a really interesting little indie subgenre that I don't hear a lot of people talking about. I'm not sure what to call it. I've been thinking about calling it like a distant advisor style game. It's kind of like the Lifeline games that you can get on your phone, where you're texting someone, like somebody else is having an adventure, and you're texting them and advising them, and the things that you say to them impact the direction of the story, and it's really interesting. You should check those out actually if you're into that kind of thing. So In Other Waters is that style of game. You are an AI, I believe, that is running the sensors and the suit equipment of somebody who is deep underwater on an alien world. And so while they are observing, you are interacting with them and helping them make the choices that they need to make in order to, um, you know, learn about these creatures. And eventually, I'm assuming there's going to be challenges to their survival. I'm not sure. I've only just barely started playing. This also reminds me a little bit of the game Observation. It's very different from Observation, but in both of them, you do play an AI who's trying to guide a scientist or an expert through a complicated alien encounter. So let's continue the game that I had going on. Though I made almost no progress. I just barely got started on it, and then I wanted to sort of to stream it and discover it alongside you folks. Rainier says that this sounds like most of their Discord DMs. It's just trying to advise a crazy person through a complicated process. Okay, so I've got these tools here. This is the tool that I use to sort of aim and send the suit places. It's been a few days since I've done this, so I've got to remind myself how these tools all work. So this is my biosample tool that I use to help the scientists collect samples. This is, I think this is like our inventory. Um, and the thing I'm looking for is our sensors. Oh, that's our sensors right here. Okay, so I've just scanned. I found there's a spot over there that I can go to. So I select it, and then we learn something about it. So it says the cavern narrows here, and small eddies of water twirl in the silt. Okay, cool. So now you see, I can aim the suit at it and move it. So this is the scientist moving along the seafloor. Okay, so now that she's arrived, I can scan the next node. Cavern entrance. A current can be felt drifting through the cavern entrance, bringing with it warm clouds of silt. Okay, so we'll travel again into the cavern entrance, and I assume that means the map is going to change. Okay, yeah. Oh, so I think I'm decreasing our depth. We're going up to a shallower area. So now we've got. Okay, so you notice these triangles are points of interest, places we can travel to. It's a sample candidate. This thin stalk sits among a bed of other growths, exuding bright bubbles through its pores. And this is a large clearing. I can't help but feel some unseen process is shaping the growth patterns of this reef. What invisible borders am I crossing? And then this is a creature that we can scan. Tall stalk. Stalks of this kind seem to produce different bubbles depending on the nearby stalks. They're protectors of their colonies. Data gathered half. Okay, so I'm going to keep looking for different creatures like this, and eventually, as I scan enough of them, this is going to be filled out, and it's like a collection mechanic. Rainier says, "Don't do it. The game is tricking you into learning things about cartography." Okay, so let's head over here because there's a sample candidate. It's funny. I don't feel like I understand these instruments. I've learned certain buttons to hit by rote, but I feel like I've learned them the same way that a rat learns a sequence of buttons it hits to get food. Like, it does not understand what it's doing, but it knows that food comes out when it does something kind of like this. And so that's kind of how I'm operating these controls. If it looks like I know what I'm doing, that is an illusion. Alright, so request retrieval. Wait. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I'm trying to remember how I. Okay, so I scan like this, and then I grip, grip, and grab. So I'm collecting samples of this creature. Grip, grip, grab. This game also seems to fit into the genre of games where the fun of the game is figuring out the UI. This is very much in that genre, which I feel like I've enjoyed several games in that. There's one about not pushing a red button. I forgot what the name of the game is, but the whole point of it is that they've just got a big control panel with just one red button in the middle and says don't press the red button, and pressing the red button I think blows up the world. But then you can keep finding other things to do and explore your way through the UI, and it's about like finding like the 20 different outcomes or something you can find by pushing different buttons and messing with different things. Yes, Rainer, I know it's called a Skinner box, but when you use the word Skinner box, you're usually talking about the motivations involved. I was talking about the actual process of figuring out what buttons to push. Okay, so what are these things? Shrill sac, a spherical gas-filled membrane produced by stalks. It looks like I have 3 of them. And so it's possible sometimes to use these things to solve problems. Like if... Yeah, so I think that these can be used as like distractions, or I'm trying to remember. I think I might have used them to clear a way that was blocked by creatures at one point. Let's head over to the clearing. Anything here? Rock outcrop. The scattered boulders and steep rifts of the southern reef suggest a violent geological past. Cool. Alright, let's go there. So this area seems to be blocked off by creatures, but this one seems open. Oh, and it looks like I've been here before. Right, unlike the other specimens, this large stock sits alone away from the lower beds. It's hard to tell if this is the beginning of a colony or its end. At least it seems like I've been here before because these things are yellow, but maybe they just would give me the same data as something I've looked at before in a different place. I'm not sure how it works. The stalks are more sparse between these rock outcrops. This might be the easiest path north, if I can clear the way. Okay, well, I think that's what the shrill sacs are for. Oh, scan that as it's going by. It's a shelled creature. Oh, it's a new one. Mobile creature with a large translucent shell and 4 swimming appendages, which it uses in a rapid rowing motion. It's the first time I've grabbed one of those, I think. Okay, so what's this way? Spore clouds. The relative calm of the space means the water is clogged with spores released by the larger stalks. That sounds dangerous. What's up here? The stalks are so thick here, a sea of amber waving fingers must be cleared before we can pass through. So, I can go this way into the dangerous sounding spore cloud, or I can come up here, except I can't. So, I'm trying to remember. I think that the way you use this is you drop it here. Yeah, so I throw the shrill sac, and it closes off the creatures, and then I can travel. So I've got a certain number of them. That one looks like it's open. Navigating these dense growths is like finding your way in a labyrinth, moving from clearing to clearing with little sense of what's ahead. Okay, looks like I can make it though. What's next? Oh, creatures. Wait, I gotta click everything before it goes. Okay, that's more on the shelled creature. You know, each time you look at a new creature, it gives you a little bit more information. So if you're really interested in understanding this ecosystem, you can learn a lot. Some creatures target these tall stalks directly, perhaps because they keep them away from the other softer stalks nearby. Now I'm assuming that it's not like that each of these individual stalks doesn't have a specific one of these, but rather that I get them in a certain order, and it tells a story about the creature. But I can't tell you that for certain because I've only played it the once. So Rainier says, aha, I thought because from the large number of yellow dots in the menu, this was like Populous or Black and White 2. But this is more like a single player version of Don't Talk and Nobody Explodes, but as an exploration. Yeah, so this is definitely this doesn't feel like it's a simulation game. This is definitely something along the lines of an adventure game. It actually feels a little bit like a like Zork with a really interesting UI to figure out. It's just all about moving step by step through a planned out node graph of a world where at each point there's something going on, and then you have to sort of like use items you collect to solve problems, keep progressing and keep exploring. So the growth patterns of the stock suggest a complex territorial network. Are we underestimating the complexity of these life forms? So this one's blocked, this one's not. Let's go to the not blocked one first and see if there's something we can do. Sampling available, so here we go. It's another shrill sack. Well, it looks like I'm going to need a bunch of these. Okay, looks like that's it. Well, I would head over there, except I can't, so let's throw a sack at it. Eat sack! Alright, here we go. Oh, new guy. Shelled creature. A delicate set of feeding appendages beneath the creature's shell seem to scrape the outer membrane of the stalks away. Somebody put a lot of time and thought into working out this ecosystem. This kind of reminds me, without the visuals, this kind of reminds me a little bit of Wayne Barlow's Expedition. If you've never checked that book out, look it up. Wayne Barlow is a really well-known sci-fi and fantasy artist. He actually was the artist behind the creatures in Pacific Rim, and also the video game Dante's Inferno from like a decade ago. So he's really good at coming up with creatures and stuff like that. So before he did either of those projects, he actually did a book called Expedition where he invented an alien world and a whole ecosystem and illustrated the whole thing like he was a nature artist. And this game feels like it's the same kind of thing where somebody's come up with an ecosystem that they, have put a lot of thought and love into, and now they're letting you sort of explore it step by step. I think that they turned Wayne Barlow's Expedition into a TV series at one point, where they did like a fake. It was in the wake of like Walking with Dinosaurs and Walking with Prehistoric Beasts. They did one on an alien planet that was based on Wayne Barlow's Expedition. It's really good stuff. You should look it up. Let's see here, signal stock. Oh yeah, so it's one of these guys. And it looks okay. So I've gathered all the data on this. Now the pilot is talking to me. I'm going to call these signal stocks for the signaling role they play in the stock ecology. Oh, that's it? Okay, sometimes we have conversations, but not that time. Oh, a sample candidate. Let's just go get more samples, because why not? I like collecting things. Alright, so grab this guy. Grip, grip, suck. Grip, grip, suck. Is that it? Oh, more. Doop-a-doop-a-doop. Okay, we are full. So I can't grab any more stuff until I use it. Okay, so there's this spot here. But this is probably the more interesting place to go because it costs something. So let's throw a shrill sack out this way. Ooh, was that enough? Can I go there? Looks like I can. That's it, we're through. This place is overwhelming. So many new species. So that's the pilot talking to me. This is the central reef. I saw on Manet's map, so the shelf flattens out here. Alright, let's see, where can I go? So, we're following the footsteps of another scientist named Manet, who came before. I think that a lot of these things we're reading might be Manet's notes, or maybe they're the notes written by the pilot. I'm really not sure. A set of smooth stones sitting together in a pile. Could a creature have gathered these here? Is this a nest? Let's find out. Oh, something just ran away from us. So I love, like, even though this is very abstract, the they're really creating a sense of life by having these little dots sort of react in animal-like ways, drifting with different patterns, sometimes seeming like certain ones of them might be flocking together. This one sort of reacting with panic when I got too close and sort of freaking out and swimming around. It's amazing what they're able to suggest with such very simple artwork. Okay, so let's scan around. Go this way. The water beneath this outcrop feels cool, oceanic. Soft currents scrape sand from the rock face. Alright. The amount of writing that went into this game is really interesting just because, I mean, every single thing here that you touch or move or go to, it all needs to have paragraphs written for it. It actually kind of reminds me a little bit of 80 Days. I don't know if you played that. I think it was originally a PC game, but I mostly played it on mobile. It's basically Around the World in 80 Days, but in a steampunk universe, and you're in charge. You can go whatever direction you want, even like up and around the North Pole if you want to. And they had to come up with storylines for every major city in this world, and it was crazy. Anyway, the last line of thick stalks before sandy plains in the central reef. Rippling silt. Ripples of silt bounce sunlight back up through the water, giving it a golden glow. Well, do I want to use one of these? I might as well. Seems like I've got a lot of them. There's got to be a reason why they stuck one right in the middle of the mess right there. Twin stones. These two boulders are covered in tiny stalks. A coating of amber fur waving in the currents. Huh. Yeah, let's go over there. I feel like I'm supposed to be progressing to the north, but, okay, yeah. No, I guess I could have come this way earlier, but I'm just poking around now. Rainier says that these little dots it's like when they observe their ant farm, and like how the ants like freak out when Rainier gives them food. That makes a lot of sense. But yeah, it's like it doesn't take much to take dots and make them look alive if you do the right things, and these people seem to be doing the right things. Okay, so let's go that way. Looks like kind of open ocean from here on out. Okay, here's some more creatures. There it is. I see the way station ahead. Right here? Way station. A way station set up by Mine Nomura. It's seen better days, but it still functions beneath the coating of stalks. Okay, well, let's see what this is. This place is looking a little worse for wear. Let me see if I can find an access port. Mine never did take care of her equipment. Some things never change. Sorry. Give me a sec. I'm just trying to... Got it. Okay, we should be able to access any data stored here. Just open the terminal and take a look. Terminal available. So I don't think I've used a terminal before. Is it this one? Okay, so am I copying some map data? Sync complete. Logs have been cleared. I expect that, given the secrecy Mine seems to be operating under. But the map data mentions something Mine calls the bloom out across the northern rift. She's been going back and forth to something there, studying it. A unique species, perhaps? Mine, what were you doing here? Why were you keeping this discovery from the world? From me? I'm talking to myself again, or to whatever you are. Sorry, I don't mean... Let's head back to the research base. I need to think. With this way station operational, we can call in the base's retrieval drone from the utility panel. This drone will be able to pick us up from any area we've got map data for. Let's head back to base. I've got a lot to figure out. Okay, so is this... So we can link with something? It connects. And we can request retrieval. Okay, so I guess that means that level is done. So, okay, so I'm kind of surprised. I was not expecting it to be divided up into discrete chapters and levels like this. Sample store? Hey, are you back online? Yes. Pretty sharp work for a biologist, if I do say so myself. Hooking up that strange casing of yours to the base took some work. And the OS here does not play nicely with whatever you are. But you should have access to select subsystems in the stack now. Manet looks to have repurposed some of them, so not everything is functional. The comms are shot, the generator's only partially working, and one of the retrieval drones is missing. But I booted up the dive bay's mapping systems and sample storage. The lab is also online with analysis tools and an integrated taxonomy for logging creatures. Take a look. I've already logged the creatures we discovered on our last dive. For any logged creatures, I'll also put sample requests in their taxonomy entries. To fulfill these requests, just find and transfer the samples to the lab and analyze them. I can then use that data to add to the creature study. We need to register these species. Head down to the lab level and take a look. I'll also mark sample requests on the dive map. That way we can grab key samples for our studies while we're out in the ocean. And we're going back out soon. While you were offline, I spotted a signal, a suit transponder. You can see its location on the dive map. I want to find it. A suit transponder means a suit, and a suit means Manet. I'll need your help. That suit will take both of us to pilot it, and it's the only one I've got. Once you're done exploring the base, load into the dive map. We can head out from there. Okay, so this game has a hub map. That's something I was not expecting. I assumed there was just going to be all exploration all the time, Zork style. But it looks like we actually come home from these things. So, okay, so we go down to the lab level. Taxonomy. Fungi, collodia, reef stock. Okay, so this is all the information we've collected about these different stocks we've been studying. Okay, so we had the reef stock, the sink stock, and I remember this. Looks like we haven't fully collected enough information on non-fungal creatures. And then the bay has something. Oh, the dive map. This is probably when we start the... Oh no, let's see here. So we've got sample requests. So I can... Okay, so... Is this the way station that I... Oh, wait, no. That's an obstruction. Okay, so we need to get stronger propulsion in order to go over here. This must be the map that we downloaded. That's the way station we stopped at. And apparently we can go out here and get samples that we missed. Is this like a collection mechanic? And then, what's this? Oh, this is the transponder. Okay, so, do we launch missions from here? Do I, like, go out to this way station, and then, now that I know what direction I'm trying to go, that I'm trying to go to the east, I can make my way there? Or is there a different way to do it? Like, okay, life support. Looks like it's at 70-some%. And then Ellery Vass, I think, is the person I've been talking to. Okay, so I can read her logs, catch up on who she is. EV, Ellery Vass. Okay, so the notes that I was reading were all marked EV, so that means that they must be Ellery's notes. Okay, cool. Okay, so looks like maybe what I should do is go out to the way station again, confirm the dive, and then I could head south to pick up that one sample that I missed. Or we could just go east. Or, even better, we can say that we've learned enough for now about this game, and we can move on to the next thing. So I feel like I've given you sort of a rough sense of what kind of game this is. I haven't gotten very deep into the story, and I'm presuming that when we go and we find that suit with Manet's transponder in it, that's going to unlock further mysteries about what's been going on. And so it looks like it's probably going to have a pretty interesting story, very similar to the kinds of stories that were told by games like the Lifeline games. So I'd really encourage anyone who looks at this and thinks it's interesting to check out Lifeline and to check out Observation, because they have very similar themes and feels to them. Observation is much more of a it's like a normal video game. You're looking through cameras, you're seeing people moving around. It's not as abstract as in other waters, and definitely not as abstract as Lifeline, but it's still really interesting. It still has that sense of, you're an observer, you're helping, you're facilitating what's going on, but the story's being told in front of you. Anyway, I'll put up some other videos and a subscribe button, and we will move on to yet another game.